Hello and welcome to another stream here with Dark Helmet Racing League. My name is Morgan here with Cleveland Beamer Sim Sports, and we are live at Zolder. Just now we have qualifying kicking off, which should be wrapped up here in 10 minutes time, and then we will kick off our first of two sessions. We will begin with a 15-minute sprint, and then after that we'll go into a 40-minute feature, so buckle up. This should be a good one. Taking a look at our current grid here, we have, oh yeah, we have a full house. We have at least 20 cars, maybe on our way to 25, and we have anybody and everybody. I see rookies, I see A rating, B rating, I see 500K to 8K. We got everybody out tonight, so this should be a solid race. So let's kick off to our qualifiers that are on their outlap right now. Take a listen, and we'll see how they get on. All right, well, we have times trickling in here on the board. So far, Richard Wishon with a 2360 is the time to beat, but we have quite a few folks knocking at the door. Gab sitting there with a 123.7. Then we have Brandon Dooley with a 23.8. Adam with a 24.2. And Rich Hibbs just put in a 24.2 as well to round out our top 5. See if we can find some folks on track. We are right now riding aboard with Ryan Frey. Currently P8 with a 25.1.
Nice lap, Adam.
Likewise.
Same exact time.
And that'll do it for Ryan Frey. Looks like staying in P8. Let's see if we can connect with Philip Scott. And it looks like I'm catching everybody as they're wrapping up a lap. Philip Scott jumps into P4 with a 24.1. Nice time, Phil. Let's see who else is tearing around out there. Got Mark Sherman in the Cookie Monster McLaren. This is a beautiful livery. I love it. Currently running around P14, 26.5. Whoa, and Caesar jumps way up in the BMW. Went from at the back of the pack to P16 with a 26.7. Nice job, Caesar. And it looks like everybody up top is satisfied with their times. Right now, Mark Sherman, highest placed car that is still doing laps, currently sitting at P14. And I must have just simply been very late to the party when we kicked over on qualifying. It looks like I see, indeed, 2 laps for the top cars. Looks like Mark's out there just getting some laps in. Currently the only one lapping, but that's okay. Gives me time to take a look at the schedule, because after this race, we have a jam-packed season. This is a 9-race season, and we are currently on round 2 here at Zolder. So coming up next week is going to be Road Atlanta, coincidentally falling on the same week as Petit Le Mans. Then we'll have Silverstone, Red Bull Ring, Watkins Glen, Montreal, Suzuka, and Monza.
Good luck. Thanks, man. You too.
Alrighty, well that will bring us to our grid.
All right, everybody, thanks again for coming out. We got a 15-minute sprint race, 5-minute warm-up, break time, and then a 40-minute feature. A little tighter track this week than Spa, so let's try to give space and not ruin anyone else's races and all have a good time. One more thing, leaders, we are on you, so green is on the leader.
Thank you, race control.
All right, well, let's see how much of this grid I can get through before we cross the start-finish line to kick this thing off. Up front, we have Richard Wishon and Gab Chavez covering the front row, both of McLarens, coincidentally. Row 2, we have Brandon in the Chevy, Ford representing, Philip representing in the Ford. Third row, we have Adam Novotny and Rich Hibbs. Fourth row, we have Nathan and Ryan. Fifth row, Brian Beeman and Christian Ortiz. And the final row here, we have Gray Welsh and Brandon Potts. Let's kick it over to the next page, see who's who. All right, and then we have Doug Wright starting at P13 with Mark at 14. Brandon Powell at P15. With Caesar in 16th place. Eric Martin starting P17 with Josh Betts at P18. I guess I only get a last name, Mr. Hamrick, starting at P19 with Kevin, P20. Ricky Renner, P21 with Kevin Davis rounding out the grid at P22. Thankfully, we have a shortened pace lap here, but still have about a minute or so till we get up to the start-finish line. So let's ride aboard with Philip Scott here. Just waiting for that start to happen. And here we go. Kicking off lap 1 of the sprint. So far, so good. I don't see any carnage. And Richard Wishon not taking any prisoners, trying to take off and build up a nice little gap here already.
Nice move. That's it.
Working our way back, we definitely have packs being established here, and wow, that Porsche came out of nowhere. Looks like Christian was able to get it stopped before sending Brian Beeman here into the Shadow Realm. But my goodness, they are packed together here. A little bump in here, but so far everybody's still keeping it fairly clean. My goodness, they are on top of each other. Going into some of these turns 3 wide. Yeah, definitely scrapping today. And that is a beautiful view of the sign that we don't really care about right now. There we go. Looks like Kevin is making up a ton of spots. So far has gained 7 places. Keep an eye on him as he charges through the pack. Going back up to the front, we have Richard Wishon saying see ya to the rest of the grid at the moment. Currently has a 2-second gap to Brandon Dooley. who was followed closely by Adam Novotny and Richard Hibbs. Something happened to Philip Scott here at the very beginning. Phil should have been, I believe, at 4th place. We'll see if we can find the replay here. What happened to Philip Scott? I don't see any damage on the front of that car. Let's see. There's Philip's event. And that is certainly not what we want. Well, I guess we will never know what happened to Philip Scott. That just is what it is. Alright, what else do we have going on here? Something happened to Eric Martin. Eric in the number 13 Porsche here. Just tried to get it slowed down, but unfortunately the car was in the grass. Definitely don't have the optimal amount of grip there. That is okay, they were both able to get going, and I am sure there is little to no damage. That was a fairly minor impact, as it were. We're going to hop up to Rich Hibbs here. He's currently carrying Gab and Nathan Nickerson with him on his battle to catch Adam Novotny in P3. Yeah, we will definitely keep an eye on these guys. Let's take a look at Kevin here. Kevin pulling a move right now to get around Caesar. Keep wanting to say Cesar, but I'm going to go with Caesar until I hear differently. Nice move for Kevin. Kevin now up to P14. We got a ton of other battles. Ryan Frey here in the McLaren with Brian Beeman knocking on his door. As they approach the chicane, I don't think Brian is close enough, but let's see what he does here. Nope, just biding his time. That is the chicane that makes you want to use as much curb as you can, but unfortunately most of these cars not super happy nailing the curbs hard there. That McLaren just pulling away there. But as I say that, the Mercedes got a heck of a run. Brian right on his bumper now. We're going to hop over to Kevin because it looks like Kevin pulling another move. Looks like he's knocking on the door of Christian here. Oh, and he will say thank you very much as he goes through after the chicane. Christian's Porsche just having a little bit of a hiccup going through there. And Kevin using all the track at that chicane. He's using by far more of that chicane than I've seen anybody else use so far. Let's hop up to Gab. He is right on the bumper or rather Nathan rather, is right on the bumper of cab here. That Lamborghini sounds so good. And folks, I have worked long and hard to make sure the audio from the microphone's actually able to be heard this race. So if you have issues hearing anything, definitely hit me up in the comments and let me know. I want to make sure this stream is as good as it can be. So while my streaming talents may be gut or tier, I would like the quality of the stream to be as good as it possibly can be. Alright, everybody looks like they're calming down for the most part, although Brandon Powell, let's knock back here. Looks like Caesar, Brandon Powell, and Eric Martin are all going at it here. Eric taking a look here, going in the chicane, but just a little too far back. Oh, and there we go. Brandon makes it stick. Nice move, Brandon. I'm going to pop up here to Ricky Renner, who has Kevin right on his bumper, looking to take another place. Ricky looks like another big winner from positions gained at the start, but Kevin not far behind. And here we go. Ricky Renner having a look here at Brandon Potts, but Brandon's having none of it. Unfortunately, he is not going to have the advantageous line through here, but Kevin absolutely steamrolling these guys. Got one hell of a jump through the chicane. And there's a +1 from Ricky Renner, but it doesn't look like he is done. Closing right up on the Brandon Potts. Gonna stay with these guys for the moment. This is currently the closest battle on track at the moment. Oh, had the check up, Kevin. It's that McLaren from Brandon Potts, just not super quick, or at least as quick as Kevin was expecting out of the chicane, but they kept it clean. And there's another one for Kevin. That Mustang certainly steamrolling its way through the pack. Looks like that is 9 places gained for Kevin. Oh my gosh, but that Porsche comes out of nowhere. Ricky Renner going for everything there, but unfortunately could not get it stopped. Goodness gracious, but everybody makes it out unscathed.
I'm sorry, dude. I kind of came over on you.
All right, let's take a breath here and catch up with our leader. Rick Wishon is just piecing out here. Richard's gap is, where is it at? There it is, up to 3 seconds here from Brandon Dooley. Looks like Richard's approaching some lap traffic. Then taking a look at Brandon Dooley in the vet. doing what he can to keep Adam Novotny behind. Adam has that gap down to about a second. Both these guys are extremely quick. And lap traffic might actually end up playing a little bit of a role here. Oh, fantastic. The Red Bull car got out of the way. Looks like Adam lost a little bit of time there, but nothing critical. Then if we look a little further behind, Richard Hibbs still trying to track down Adam here. Wow, that is a terrible camera view. Why don't we kick over to the roll bar here and ride along. Richard and P4 not far behind, though. We have a three-way battle to take out Richard Hibbs, starting with Gab Chavez, closely followed by Nathan Nickerson and then Philip Scott to round out P5 through 7. All these guys, about 2 seconds between the three of them, maybe a second and a half actually. While trying to chase Richard Hibbs down, but knowing Rich Hibbs, he is not going to give up that position with any sort of ease whatsoever. And we have P8 Ryan Frey, followed by Brian Beeman in the Mercedes. And lurking behind, Kevin, Mr. 10th place gain, chasing him down. And it looks like Ricky Renner was also able to gain some additional places because he is knocking right on Kevin's door here. Following these two, we have Gray Welch, P12, followed by another battle with Brandon Potts and Christian Ortiz. And then definitely a little bit of space back to Mark Sherman here in our Cookie Monster car, which looks like he's had a little bit of contact here at some point. Then Kevin Davis, Eric Martin in the same team car, Doug Wright heading into the pits. Brandon Powell's had a moment somewhere. We are missing a rear wing from Brandon. See if we can hunt that down in the replay. Oh, and that rear wing definitely wreaking havoc here for Brandon Powell. Let's see if this is the moment. Ah, yep, that will do it. Just a little bit of an introduction to the wall. It's definitely unfortunate, but it's a nice thing about this league. We will have these incidents reviewed after the fact, and we'll share those results with everybody. Try to be as transparent as possible, but you know, we also want everybody to continue to have fun.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And that is Richard Wishon crossing the line, P1. Followed by Brandon Dooley and Adam Novotny for our podium positions. Looks like Rich Hibbs was able to keep that P4.
He lost it coming around this bend right in front of us here. This left-hander, and like went to the wall. He did a really good job of keeping it over to the left and not coming back across. Must not have had too much damage. He finished 5th.
Short shift this thing coming through there on the first couple laps because it gets squirrely.
Oof. Just now catching up with these events.
Always fun.
Let's see if we can get these results displayed here for your viewing pleasure. One heck of a race here for the
McLaren, Chevy,
first
McLaren,
session,
Chevy,
but
McLaren.
you know what? From a car results perspective, we definitely have good representation all the way around.
Yeah, that's scary.
And only a few incidents here to worry about. So hopefully we can keep that action going here for the 40-minute feature. Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a break and we'll be back shortly. For now, I will leave you with the previous race results and should be back going in about 5 minutes.
Blinking quite a bit, Gray.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
10 seconds left in warm-up. Reminder, it's a quick turn to get in the car. Feature race, we've got 40 minutes. Pit stop should be required. Green flag is on the line again. Good luck, everybody.
What was required? Pit stop, man. Thank you.
All right, we are back. Gearing up for our 40-minute feature session. Should be fairly action-packed, and now our grid has certainly reshuffled after the sprint race. So, still have Richard Wishon up front. P2 joining him on the front row is going to be Brandon Dooley. P3, Adam Novotny. P4, Rich Hibbs, followed by P5 with Gab Chavez, Nathan Nickerson, and P6 with Philip Scott. P7 and Ryan Frey, and P8. P9, we have Brian Beeman and Kevin Desnoyers in P10. By the way, that reminds me, if I butcher anybody's name, hit me up in the comments and shame me for it. I want to make sure I get these right. So, following Kevin, we have Ricky Renner, P11, and Gray Welsh in P12. After Gray, we have Brandon Potts, P13, Christian Ortiz in P14, Mark Sherman, 15th, Kevin Davis, P16, Eric Martin, and P17 with Brandon Powell in P18, Josh Betts, P19, Doug Wright in P20, Caesar Cullen in P21, and Mr. Hamrick in P22. Let's ride along here. We're going to start with our first couple positions here. And there Richard goes. So far, everybody getting away cleanly, which is what we like to see. Oh man, Kevin already on the bumper of that McLaren. We're going to stay with these guys right now, going side by side. You have Kevin injecting himself in there, taking an opportunity. Might get that spot from the McLaren here. But Gab's coming back. But nope, job done. Kevin will say thank you very much and take the position. Kevin already up to P6 here. Right on the bumper with Ryan Frey. Looks like job done. Kevin taking another position in the top 5. Guys ahead better get it together because he is coming. Now we have Ricky Renner and Ryan Frey going at it here to decide who's going to have P6. And for now, that looks like it's going to be Ricky. Uh-oh, and something happened to Kevin Davis. Looks like we got a few minutes before anything pivotal happens. Let's see what happened to Kevin. Whoa. That is just gotta be one of the worst camera angles we could possibly have had of that. Let's try that again. Whoa, avoiding some chaos here. What is going on? All kinds of stuff happening there. My goodness. Do not know what to think of that. And as I'm talking, we have all kinds of other action that has gone down. Ryan Frey still trying to keep Gab behind. And then not far behind these guys, something happened between Doug and Alex. Ah, just got onto the grass. Oof. Yeah, that is unfortunate. And then something also happened to Brandon Powell. Yeah, he was just caught up in the same incident. Looks like Brandon's in the McLaren. Yeah. Well, thankfully we have fast repairs, but Brandon definitely has some serious suspension issues there. As we rejoin the live action, these guys are still on top of each other, trying to take that P7 away from Ryan Frey. Looks like we have Gab Chavez, Philip Scott, and Brian Beeman all right there. This has got to be the worst camera view. There we go. I love how it just defaults to that sign. And it looks like Gab found a way by Ryan. And now, yeah, it looks like Gab's getting a little bit of a lead. Now we have Philip Scott knocking on that door with Ryan. Let's see, and if we take a look up front, something happened to Adam Novotny. Was running
Brandon, let me know if I'm blinking.
P3. Looks like he is now P4. What happened with him? Looks like we have the pass right here, but before I go to that, looks like Ryan Frey having a bit of a moment. It's allowed Philip Scott and Brian Beeman to get through. Hopefully he can get it collected here and reel these guys back in. Let's take a look and see what happened to Adam Novotny here in P3. Oh yeah, that really tells the story. That's formation lap. I'm going to try that again. This is where me being new at this kinda comes into play, because I am just not finding it. Unless, could it be this easy? Yep, it was at the very beginning of the race. Looks like Rich made it around the outside to get in front of Adam. Now our order makes sense to me. Get back to these guys up front. Ryan Frey trying to reel these guys back in, and taking a look at the tip of the sword here, we have Richard Wishon, P1, not with the same lead that he had in the sprint. Brandon Dooley keeping him in check here. Gap about 1 second right now. Looking further back, we have Rich Hibbs, P3, and then Adam Novotny, P4. So they go by a car parked at the side of the road here. What happened there? Looks like that was Alex. Let's see what's going on with Alex. Interesting. Maybe this incident has something to do with it. No, that's just an off track. I think Alex just might be sightseeing here for a second, or catching his bearings. Ah! There we go. That is definitely not sightseeing. Just got a little bit off track, and the Porsche did what it likes to do. Lead with that engine. And good call from Alex. Just taking a second, waiting for a gap before it gets rolling here. Looks like our field is settling down a little bit. Right now we are actually looking at one of the closest battles. P1 having P2 knock on his door with about 7/10 back, and then Adam Novotny got real close to Rich all of a sudden. We'll have to stay on board because right behind we have Kevin reeling him in. Yeah, this is our closest action on track by far at the moment. As we approach the start finish, let's hop aboard Kevin and ride alongside. Kevin in that chicane, getting about 2/10 on Adam here. Rich Hibbs with a little bit of breathing room. And we now have a three-way battle here for the last podium position here that Rich Hibbs currently occupies. Kevin getting closer still. Doesn't send it into the chicane, just being nice and patient here. He seems to like that final chicane going into the start-finish straight to make most of his moves happen. We'll see if he lines up a move there again. Adam here actually maintaining the gap through there. He's got some good speed. As we take a look at Adam here, right on the bumper of Rich Hibbs again. Oh no, it looks like Brian had a little bit of a moment. As well as Brandon Powell. We'll see how this chicane goes here. And Kevin feigning a look here, but still biding his time. And I don't think we're going to have any moves happening here yet. Let's see what happened to Brian and Brandon. Rear end just getting a little bit loose for Brian. And Brandon Powell was already off track. Looks like just lost it in going into turn one. And you know, I go to take a look at these guys and it looks like Kevin had the beginnings of a pass going there. Adam was able to fend him off. I will stay with these guys just to make sure we don't miss anything else. Adam going wide. Kevin looks like he wants that inside line. So far, the gap's maintaining 4/10. It's impressive for Adam here. 1.7K driver so far going toe-to-toe with a nearly 8K driver. You know, you might call him Mr. 1.7K, but I think he's sandbagging. Looks like Kevin is taking off a little bit of the pressure. Perhaps waiting for pit stops, then again, perhaps just might be biding his time, seeing if somebody makes a mistake. So far, these guys only 6 seconds off P1, Richard Wishon. Kevin just using all that curb. Well, I'm going to keep an eye on these gaps here. Right now, looks like they have stabilized a little bit. Taking a look through the field, see something's going on with Doug right here. Looks like he is knocking on the door of Caesar. But they have spread out a little bit. I have seen this gap actually at times drop to within two tenths here. Well, it looks like they got a little bit of space. Taking a look at Eric Martin. Eric's got Mark Sherman trying to reel him in behind, but so far still maintaining that gap. And now we have Brian Beeman here, right behind Josh Betts. And Brian is definitely hauling. Looks like Brian has been in the pit once already here. Josh Betts doing everything he can. Looks like he is missing the front body work of that car, which is definitely going to make a difference when it comes to handling with that Porsche. And that's going to allow Brian to cruise through. Let's take a look at our leaders. We're actually closing in on these guys. We have Richard Hibbs, or rather Richard Wishon, still leading the pack here. Brandon Dooley not far behind, about 2.5 behind, and then we have 5 seconds behind them. Our three-way battle for P3, currently led by Rich Hibbs, Adam Novotny behind, and then Kevin. And these guys are going to have to be dealing with traffic here in just a moment. That looks like that is P17 Eric Martin ahead of Richard. See how they get through here. I know inside Rich is like, let me through, let me through. But so far, Eric being nice and predictable, going at his own pace. Looks like he is going to let Richard through here. Oh, and goes a little deep. Wonder if he was looking at his mirrors there, but that's going to allow this trio to get through. Adam now with Kevin, the closest I think he has been in a few laps here. And it looks like as I say that, Kevin said, you know what, I'm going to go into the pits and we'll think about an undercut here. We'll see how these two respond. And right now, these pit stops are shaking up my order as well as shaking up some of these battles. So right now, Adam trying to take that P3 from Mr. Hibbs. Looking a little further back, I have Brandon Potts and Gray Welch here going at again, currently separated by half a second. And I'm loving what I'm seeing here. We start with 22 cars, and it looks like we still have 22 lapping around Zolder. And as I speak, Brandon Potts getting real close to Mr. Gray Welch. And Adam has gone into the pits. Adam is responding to Kevin here. I'm going to keep an eye on this. Let's see, and that is number 93 with Kevin. That is Kevin Davis. Kevin and Kevin. As Kevin comes around to the start-finish straight, where's that going to put Adam? Adam leaving the pits now. And it looks like Kevin's got him. Kevin has him by about a second. Maybe second and a half. Looks like the undercut is spicy here. Adam coming out into traffic. And that is not going to help his fight to see if he can claw that position back from Kevin here. Let's take a look, see what happened in the pits. Yeah, Kevin Villeneuve with a 47-second overall pit lane delta, 47.8, with Adam at 50.7. So that is quite the spread there, and that will most definitely account for the difference we currently see on track. Kevin just super quick through the pit. Let's take a look further ahead. We have Brandon Potts and Gray Welch still going at it. Neither of these two have pit. In fact, nobody in the top 8 has taken a trip down pit road. This race will require everyone to pit for fuel. I don't think even the best of the hypermilers are going to be able to make this happen without stopping. And this, folks, is our closest battle currently on track. So we're going to hang out with these guys. Gray having some connection problems, but so far that has not deterred Brandon Potts whatsoever from trying to take that position. And as we're going around, we have Rich Hibbs, current P3, going into the pit. We're going to keep an eye on him, see where he comes out. And now we have everybody diving into the pits, which is why we are going to jump up to Rich Hibbs, currently getting fuel on his way out. With Kevin right around the corner. I think Kevin's going to get this position. And indeed, Kevin does get the position. Rich giving it everything he had, going right up to the pit boundary line there. And that is now Kevin with provisional P3. I say provisional because everybody ahead still needs to pit. And as I say that, P1 and 2 just went in to pit lane. Currently our delta is about 48 to 50 second rejoin. I wonder who that is. Let's take a look here, see what's what. I don't think that's what we were hearing. Yeah, I am not sure what that was on the radio. And we have Kevin cruising through, but I think P1 definitely is going to get out before Kevin. And so will P2. Gap to Kevin here, about 5 seconds. He has about 13 minutes to make some headway on the top 2. Followed behind Kevin, we have Rich Hibbs, who is still trying to claw him back in. Right now the gap is 1.5 seconds. Then we have Adam Novotny who does appear to be closing in on Rich. About a 2-second gap there. Diving back, have some additional battles. Philip Scott in the Mustang here, right behind Ricky Renard and Gab Chavez. Oh, Phillips getting right in here. 729. Wonder what happened to Gab. Must have had a slowdown. He got way off the pace there, but it looks like he sped back up. Slowdowns and iRacers, mortal enemy. Unfortunately, nothing you can do about them. Once you are awarded that slowdown, you must slow down per the time delta that shows up on your screen, because if you do not give the amount of time that iRacing wants you to give, you will have a penalty that will require you to go into pits, losing at least 30 seconds, if not more. We're going to revisit Philip Scott here shortly. Going to poke down to the battle for P10. We have Brian Beeman here, about 7/10 behind Gray Welch. Looking to round off that top 10. Brian's definitely been showing some speed here in the Mercedes, but so is Gray. Currently, Brian's best is a 24.6 with Gray at a 25.4, so Brian has the speed, but we shall see. Gray has been feisty in that McLaren. Looks like Brian got a little bit of the TC there, using all the curb, but losing a little bit of momentum when that TC kicks in. We're going to revisit these guys momentarily. Taking a look further back, P15 Eric Martin trying to close in on Mark Sherman, Mr. Cookie Monster himself. Followed closely by Caesar. And it looks like Josh Betts may have had a moment. Looks like he jumped to the pits. Indeed he did. Yeah, just a little too much of that curb. And that will do it. Sometimes jumping into the pits and getting that mental health break can be good for your sanity. While these guys are going at it, we still have Gray fending off Brian Beeman, with Brandon Potts falling close behind. That McLaren just came from a mile back in that braking zone. Brought his gap down to half a second behind Brian. And by half a second, I mean actually a half a second effectively behind Gray. Brian getting a good run here. Takes a moment. Doesn't send it there, but he is getting closer and closer. Looks like he is running up and trying to set up a pass. And indeed, here we go. Brian making it happen around the inside here, but we are not over yet. That McLaren has a ton of speed, and Brian had to sacrifice quite a bit there. See how this chicane goes. Looks like Brian's backing off. Oh. And That chicane, unfortunately, not very nice to Brian there. Caused the car to bottom out and sent him on a little bit of a ride. Looks like he was able to gather it up. We'll see if he's able to catch these guys. Still has about 8 minutes to reel them in, so all is not lost. Brandon Potts definitely wants this position. Brandon Potts and Gray Welch going out of here. Brandon's ultimate fastest lap is about 2/10 faster than Gray's, but effectively they are pretty darn close here in speed. And it looks like they're running a similar setup because they are about a mile an hour off each other in top speed. Looks like this battle is settling down a little bit. Let's hop up with Ricky Renner, who has Philip Scott still knocking on that door. About half a second behind. Ricky just really strong in that brake zone. Able to stretch that gap out to 6/10. Hopping up a little further, we have Richard Hibbs here with Adam Novotny about 6/10 behind. Adam been charging since the pit stops, trying to make up ground. Basically right back to where he was pre-pit stop here.
I'm sorry.
Uh-oh, and Caesar and Eric having a moment. Let's take a look at this. It looks like something is going to happen here going into the chicane. Yeah, just outbraked himself a little bit, sending the Porsche into the wall as well. Both of them still able to roll forward, so not terrible. This all happening right in front of the leader. That was Richard Wishon going by in the McLaren, followed closely behind by Brandon Dooley in that Vet. Catch the live action. Adam Novotny still wants that spot, but Gray Welch getting really defensive here with Brandon Potts, but Brandon sending it into the chicane. This is not over, though. Oh, no. Ryan Frey, unfortunately, having to use all the track and then some, including the grass. And just not able to plant the power down to keep these guys from going. And it looks like Christian Ortiz was also able to capitalize on that in the Porsche. But this battle certainly does not look over. My favorite camera angle. Oof. And Gray just getting right up to the wall. And you can tell he is not happy with that sequence of events. And it would not surprise me at all if he is able to get back up on that bumper of Christian.
Thank you.
And these guys just settling down just a bit. Brandon Potts leading this trio. Currently sitting in P10 in a stacked field. Again, taking a look at our I ratings, which we'll take with a grain of salt because the I rating only really matters if you run officials frequently, but still, I see everywhere from an 800 I rating all the way up to 7,768. Listening to the leader, it looks like he has just taken the white flag. That means 1 lap to go here, folks. And taking a look at the intervals up front, everybody is spread out. And it does not look like anybody is in any imminent danger of losing a position. Currently, we have Richard Wishon followed by Brandon Dooley in the vet with Kevin Desnoyers reining him in, going through traffic here to round out the top 3. Taking a look back, we have Richard Hibbs and Adam still going at it. Adam still within a second, but Rich doing what he needs to do in that Corvette to keep Adam's McLaren behind. These guys have had an awesome battle for the last 40 minutes. Going through this chicane for the final time. Looking further back, we have Gab and Ricky still going at it. These guys separated rather by only half a second, with time quickly running out to make something happen.
Richard.
We have Richard who crossed the line. Brandon close behind, and it looks like it is indeed Richard, Brandon, and Kevin.
Gotcha.
Going back to Ricky Renner, looks like he is able to secure that P6 over Gab. Rich Hibbs able to keep Adam Novotny at bay. Rich finishing in 4th, Adam in 5th. Philip Scott getting P8 with Ryan Frey P9. And Brandon Potts.
I caught you a little bit on entry, pit entry.
Oh, it was a great race.
Chased by Christian.
Went nowhere coming out of the box.
But it looks like Brandon Potts is going to round out our top 10.
Caught me a bunch of injury. I hit the grass on the right side, which took away my pit limit.
Nice battle between these two.
So I didn't have a mile an hour in front of me. And then, yeah, I didn't know what happened there.
It looks great like Ray Welts was able to secure P12 from Brian. Brian sending it to the wall. Looks like he is done.
Over me for the most part.
Okay, run up there, guys. You too, Adam.
Thanks. Yeah, that was probably the most boring race I've had in a long time.
Yeah, pretty much all
Full-
race. I was just trying not to mess up.
Yeah, full hour with 0 passes. Or got passed.
Does lap 1 count? Because I passed you.
Burn.
Yeah, I guess that does count.
Rich there with a zinger.
Kevin get you?
Say what?
Kevin?
Passed in the pits.
Yeah, he passed. me.
Got ya.
Somehow he had like 4-second faster pit stop than I did.
He fuel saves, and then he cuts it to the absolute limit on fuel. Like, I still had 0.6 of a lap left on fuel as we pull in here, so...
Yeah, I took way too much fuel. I came out behind traffic too. Yeah, it's impossible to pass here.
Yeah, and it's a track where mistakes happen constantly, and you just try not to die with the mistake.
Yeah, I was hoping, like, going back towards the back straight, you made a little mistake where you had a bunch of oversteer. Ugh, but that corner's one line, and if you can't get a run out of it, then I just got stuck behind you.
Yep.
Well, folks, that is going to do it here at Zolder. Congrats to Richard Wishon for P1, Brandon Dooley for P2, and Kevin for P3. That was a heck of a run and had some good action all the way around. But that's going to do it. Next week, Road Atlanta, same weekend as Petit Le Mans. Everybody should have lots of practice and be super fast there, so looking forward to that one. Until then, my name's Morgan here with Cleveland Beamer Sim Sports, and this is going to do it for Dark Helmets Racing League's Sunday GTD